Um, Hello everybody. This is a video that I made for at Mari Marcia, drawing their character after they asked for art feedback on a short that they posted. So I made this quick drawing to demonstrate some of the concepts that I discussed in the comment that I left on their video. So as you can see, I didn't so for this character I didn't actually change the colors at all. The artist seems to have a pretty good idea of color theory and what colors pair nicely together. I only shifted the hues and values for shading and highlights. So, but let's go over what I changed. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So first off, the line art. I actually use dark pink for the lines. If I go over and I select this, you can see it's a very, very dark pink. It's not black. And this is just something that I like to do. I like to make the line art a very dark version of the unifying color, which is a color that you kind of mix a little bit into all of your other colors that will make them go nicely together. I take a dark version of that and I use it for the line art. That is just a stylistic choice. I think it makes the drawing look a lot more cohesive than it would if the line art was just plain black. The second thing I used was varied line thickness. So the artist's original drawing was made using a single thickness brush on IBIS paint. So I suggested using one with varied line thickness. So that means if I draw here lightly, it creates a very thin line, and then if I press down, it creates a thicker line. And this will just give a lot more interest to your art, and there's also a couple of rules you can follow. Like generally in areas of shadow, the line art's going to be a little bit thicker. And what you can do is, if there are two lines crossing over each other, what you can do is you can actually go in and thicken the intersection up just a little bit, so like this, and then that will make your art look a little bit like softer, I guess. And I don't really know like the exact effect that it creates. I just like the look. I didn't do that here because it would have taken too long. And like I said, this was just a quick mock-up just to show the concepts that I was talking about. Another thing I did was more dynamic posing. So in the original artwork, the character is kind of just facing straight on. One arm is kind of kind of on their hip, kind of behind their back, and then the other is just off to the side. So here's the thing about this pose. It is very flat, and I know I've tilted it a little bit, but let me show you guys what I mean. Oh, that is a bad color. Okay, here. Let me show you guys what I mean. So we've got the head, right? Change that way. Shoulders are very straight, hips are very straight, arm is pointing down, which, like, where is that leading your eye? I don't know. But what it's doing is it's leading your eye down and away from the image. You've got one thigh going like up and the other going down, but the rest of the angle of her hips is not changing to reflect that. And then you've also got her tail going like a completely opposite direction. So your eyes are bouncing all over the place, and that will lead to like your drawing is not being looked at in a way that you want it to. So in my version, I adjusted the pose. So her eyes are looking this way. Oh my goodness, this is awful. Let me change. Okay. Her eyes are looking this way. Her shoulders are tilted that way. But her arm catches it, draws it back in towards the body, which is going that way. Hip tilted that way. Arm going down, but the tail catches that, directs it back to the body, and because the thigh is raised, it directs it back up. See how all of it's like going in loops, connecting, going back into the character, redirecting your eye towards where you want it to go? That is part of posing, okay? It's like a subset of composition, and that's what you want to do with your characters, is try, if your art looks stiff or flat, try and make it posed more dynamic. The next thing I want to talk about is the fabric. So as you can see here, I wrote fabric has fabric has volume. And what that means is, well, fabric has volume. It's not like suctioned to a body. So if I draw a little cylinder here, right? and then I try and stretch some fabric around it, what's going to happen is the fabric is actually going to come out a little bit. Oh my god, it's going to come out of the cylinder. It's not going to lay flat on the cylinder. It's going to flip and lay back over itself. It's going to have volume. And this is what actually helps give the idea that your characters are 3D forms and not 2D shapes. This will also help you with like perspective and stuff. And as you might be able to see, I'm not the best at this. I'm still very much learning. Like, I'm not a pro artist by any means, but it's still, I think it's still a concept that's important to show, especially for newer artists. I also do want to talk about the hand. Don't hide the hands behind the back, okay? If you're gonna draw something, draw it, like, don't hide the hands behind the back. You're never gonna get better at hands if you don't practice. That being said, with this other hand, when people's hands are down at their sides, they tend to hang with the thumb facing forwards and the fingers slightly curled. Like, try it. Stand up right now, let your hand hang loosely by your side, and see how it poses. Like, in the original, her hand is like, I think it's supposed to be like facing with the back of the hand towards the viewer, which, like, definitely I've seen some people rest like that, but unless you're intentionally twisting your wrist like that, that's not a position that your hand will default to. The next thing I want to note is material-dependent shading. So what that means is on smoother materials like fabric, technically the fabric should have a little bit of texture, but I'm simplifying here. On smoother materials like fabric, you're going to see harder shadow lines, whereas on like softer like curves and stuff, you're going to see a little bit more soft shadow. And for hair, I try and shade, but with using both the highlights and the shadows, in the direction that the hair grain is going. Because hair is not just one mass, it is made up of a whole bunch of little strands. And how those strands overlap and intersect is how you get shadows. And what I did was I just simplified those shapes a lot. And the last thing I want to note is hair also has volume. So here you can see the hair is like coming up, it's laying, it's intersecting back over itself. That it doesn't just lay flat to the head. If your head, well, I'd hope your head is a roughly round shape, but if your head's a round shape, the hair is not just going to lay flat on top of that. It's going to curve. So it's going to lay more like this. And it's going to puff up, especially near the top of your head where all the roots come out. It's going to puff up a little bit before its own weight pulls it back down. Okay, generally. So, but yeah, that's all of the advice that I have for now. And remember, don't take my word as gospel. Just because I shade a certain way doesn't mean you need to. But it's helpful to know the rules so that you can break them better. And as for Mari Marcia, I hope this helps, and thank you for letting me draw your character.